40%. Joining me now, Mo Alithi, the executive director of Georgetown University's Institute of Politics and Public Policy and a Fox News contributor, and Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union. All right, gentlemen, this generic ballot is bounced around a little bit, but that giant lead that the Republicans were looking at the Democrats having has been shrinking, Mo. And is that possibly because the Democrats have found it hard to get off of the impeachment talk and onto something having to do with policy?
I'm not sure that's the issue. There are a couple out there that are talking about impeachment, and I wish they would stop. But for the most part, most Democrats aren't doing that. Now, I think Democrats do need to focus a little bit more on sort of the positive message. And these polls are going to continue to bump around, but one thing we have seen that has been fairly consistent from the beginning of this election cycle, a tremendous amount of energy on the ground, where in all these special elections, Democrats are outperforming their typical performance by 20-plus points and coming very close or winning in districts they have no business in. So I think the wind's still at their back, but they can't take this for granted. Democrats are going to still have to make a full-on contrast here. And Matt, the Republicans have shown an uptick in registration, which, of course, in a midterm election year for a president and a Congress and having the majorities, that's obviously very important. You got to go out there and try to find those voters, and it's coming at a time when the speakership is also in question on the Republican side. And I wonder how you think that those two issues might coincide, at least either help Republicans, or could it hurt them if they don't figure this out sooner than later?
Yeah, Dana, my view, first of all, the Democrats need to turn to a positive agenda. Yeah, I'd like to see just like one plank in that platform. I haven't heard anything positive for a year and a half, and I think that's one of the reasons these polls are narrowing. And as far as the speakership for the Republicans is concerned, I don't think Paul Ryan's retirement will have any impact. I think the drama you see on the Hill is Republicans who are worried about, does their close friend become the next speaker, and who is that next speaker? But I think the rest of America isn't very concerned about that at all. They want to make sure is that Republicans are focused on the right things. A big leadership race right now would be sending all the wrong signals. Republicans should be focused on doing everything they can to make American lives better. And that includes building off the successful tax reform and tax cut plan, the stopping of regulations, and making sure they do everything possible to give the American people economic prosperity. If they feel better economically, we're going to do just fine.
Yeah, and it's, for the Democrats, they've got to figure out what's going on. But in the meantime, 2020, it feels like it's way far in the future. But actually, Politico today saying that Joe Biden is actually on top for Democrats at this point, saying that the bigger issue, there's a place for him atop the Democratic Party that's taken shape after the ruinous 2016 election cycle. This new iteration is unsentimental and unforgiving, and Biden has more than a few conspicuous Senate votes that demand a reckoning in the Trump-era Democratic Party. Mo, I know you give a lot of thought to this, and I know it's too early to talk about who the nominee will be, but just in terms of the type of Democrat that might actually emerge after these midterms that would want to challenge President Trump, what are your thoughts about Joe Biden?
So I think this raises such an interesting question for Democrats, and post-midterm is going to be a huge moment of reflection for them. If Democrats turn the nomination battle to a battle between left and center-left, they will have learned the wrong lessons from 2016, just as if Republicans make any nomination battle about right versus center-right. The real divide now is between up and down. It's between elites and masses. It is a populist moment. And so they need to be articulating the candidate who wins is going to be the one that can be the best champion. Joe Biden can articulate that. We'll see who else emerges on the scene as well.
Matt, I only have 20 seconds. Can you tell me your thoughts on Joe Biden? Does that worry you at all from the Republican standpoint?
Yeah, I agree with Mo a bit, but I also do think on the left that the Democratic Party has become, is in the stranglehold of radical leftists, and Joe Biden is a much more moderate character. I think he could give the president a run for his money, but I just can't imagine the left-leaning Democratic Party will give him that chance.
Will give him the chance?
Yeah.
Very interesting. All right, Mo.